Hey, welcome back to Shadow Shorts. If we've never met before, my name is Jeff Echols. I am a senior advisor and the head of marketing for Shadow Partners. And every weekday, I bring to you a short conversation with an expert or a thought leader in the realm of innovation for the built environment. And today, I'm really looking forward to this conversation for a few reasons, which I'll explain here in a few minutes. But I am joined by Brad Crawford. He's just up the road from me. Actually, I'm in Indianapolis, and Brad's up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Get your atlas out, and you can understand that geography here, that Indiana geography. But Brad is the CEO of Ambassador Supply and also the CEO of Rival Holdings. We'll talk about that. One of the reasons I'm excited is because a couple of days ago I had KP Reddy, who's the CEO of Shadow Partners and Shadow Ventures. KP and I talked about VC, venture capital, versus corporate VC or CVC.
Yes.
And today, this is sort of a great follow up to that conversation. So, Brad, thanks for joining me today. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Appreciate the invite, Jeff. Thank you. Looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're not far apart. I should have just driven up a couple of hours and we could have just done this live from your office. That would have been the thing to do. But it's and so I've got some knowledge, right?
Uh-huh.
We shadow work together with Ambassador, et cetera. So, um, but the opportunity to follow up that conversation with KP the other day and focus on basically the CVC side, the corporate VC side. So,
Yeah.
um, you took over as a CEO of Ambassador Supply a few years ago, several years ago,
Yeah.
and part of what you've been doing is looking at innovation, looking at investment, and so you're fully now on the looking at least on the CVC side.
Yeah.
Tell me why, as you look at a company like Ambassador, and you're going to have to give a little bit of background, I guess, in order to really
Sure.
understand this. But tell me why, when you take a family-owned company and you look at diversification and you start looking at innovation, why do you start to do that, and where does the venture side come into the equation?
Yeah, it's a great question and one I don't know that I can succinctly answer.
That's
Um,
fine.
but Ambassador Supply, which was part of a larger organization, it's really a family office private equity firm, Ambassador Enterprises. We have the owner has the desire for us to be a 100-year legacy based company. So when you try to step back and look at what's going to happen in 1 year, let alone 10 years or 100 years, that looks and the forces that act upon you look totally different. So trying to set a strategy, even though your executable strategy might be for 3 years out, or your framework might be for 3 years out, 5 years out, trying to steward somebody's resources towards a long-term 100-year run, which is what they desire, it forces you to think differently. And for us, what does this industry look like 15, 20 years from now, or 50 to 100 years from now? Change has to occur. And my background, I came from advanced manufacturing in the automotive and electronics industry. So I'm not an engineer. I have a business administration degree, but I kind of have that mindset of efficiency and continuous improvement. So the worlds kind of merged, bringing my past experience together with the construction and building industry, the built worlds. And when you see where it has evolved over the last 50, 60 years, it hasn't evolved as the rest of the world or industries have evolved. And there are many reasons why that has happened that way. And you have to be respectful of why it hasn't and what the context is. And then how do we apply the macro forces and the need for affordable housing and the need for additional housing or additional structures in general. Um, those are two forces that aren't necessarily moving in the same direction. So something has to change. And we know we're not going to change the world. Our desire is not to change the world, but our desire is to make sure that we have a company that can support its employees for the next 50 to 100 years and be agile enough to adopt these disruptive technologies or iterative disruptive technologies that are coming down the pipeline, and it is happening. So for us, I'm giving you a long-winded answer, but elevator speech. But for us, we tried to figure out what does the horizon look like and who can we partner with. And we looked at several VC funds to do so. And we felt we could hire an individual to go out and look and hunt, but it made more sense for us to hire or join or fund a VC partner that was like-minded. And we got it down to 3 or 4 funds, and we chose Shadow. And through that process and through that knowledge transfer, we have also looked at not only becoming a fund partner for the VC, but also what are we doing as a corporate VC alongside them to help impact some of these investments or do some things that maybe doesn't fit the VC mindset, but does fit the corporate VC mindset. And I think there is a difference.
Yeah, and KP, I think when we talked, I think it was Monday of this week, but when we talked, he laid out how he saw the difference in the mindsets of the VC versus the CVC, and I think all of that makes sense. And what's really interesting to me about what you were just talking about was starting from the point of view of wanting to have a legacy, 100-year company, one that supports your employees for 50 to 100 years, et cetera. And I think oftentimes we get caught up in this idea of innovation and change and disruption and, this idea that everything is new, but you're actually saying, yeah, everything needs to be new. Everything needs to change in order for us to survive, in order for us to build this legacy. And I think for a lot of people, that's probably not something that was top of mind. Oh, I didn't think about that in terms of the longevity of our business versus how do I compete today, tomorrow, next week, next quarter, next year.
Yeah, I think that. So a couple points there. I think you have to respect the history of construction's millennia old, right? But how do you respect? There's a reason why it got to where it got to today. And with a lot of the challenges that have been created, there also have been a lot of successes. So you need to respect the generations prior to you and learn from them and realize that the only constant is change in this world. So how do we then look towards the future and what other industries that may not be doing what we're doing, but we can learn from them, whether it's the automotive industry, whether it's the aerospace industry, whether it's the cruise liner construction industry or technology. What does that look like? What can we glean from their successes, their failures to help us down our path? And try to balance that with the human aspect, the cultural aspect of what we're doing, which is our employees, our communities that our employees live and work in. We need to try to help them adapt for an ever-changing environment. Because I think what's coming to an inflection point to where you're going to have several of these technologies come together and things are going to change rapidly. And it's going to appear to the outside world that it's overnight, but it's been 20, 30 years in the making to lead to this. So, from our perspective, we have to look at that horizon. And again, how far out, I don't know, but we have to look at it from what can we do today to set ourselves up for that point tomorrow. And as a corporate VC, we're going to look at, and we're going to narrow down our scope and take a look at multiple offerings to try to get us to the same point in time. And they might have completely different approaches, but we want to look at all to keep our options open because, again, we have our legacy-based companies which are performing well in today's market and addressing today's problems. So I have the luxury of stepping out of I still get involved in the day-to-days, but I have the luxury to step out and look up and out and see what's coming. And for us, the challenge is how do we inject this great opportunity with these advancements into these legacy companies without breaking them? And we're working through that today.
Yeah. I know you have a lot of business experience, even beyond, Ambassador and Rival. So when you think of where you are now and what you're doing now in the corporate VC realm, as a way to as a vehicle for building and
Right.
sustaining a legacy company. What do you see as the biggest difference between that attitude, that outlook, even the logistics of what you're doing versus another company across town that may have a similar product base, that may have a similar customer base, et cetera, but they aren't focusing on the CVC. They may be saying, "Hey, we want to build a legacy company as well," but they're going about it differently than you are. You're going about it differently than they are. What do you see? Based on all of your experience, what's the biggest difference between those two outlooks?
Intentionality, honestly, I think. So we're very intentional about taking a step back, looking around and listening, what are our options? And saying, how can we do it better? A lot of what we see in the industry is a lot of people are working in their business every day and not, they don't have the ability to take a step back and work on their business.
Yep.
And we've been blessed enough that we've been able to hire some really good people to do so. I think we're probably all moving in the same direction the next 5, 10, 15 years. I'm hoping, and we're all going to have some sort of um, turmoil, some sort of disruption in our daily activities as these technologies come in. I don't think it's a one size fits all, or we're going to swallow this magic pill that cures all of our ills at that time. We'll still have challenges. I just hope we're better prepared, whether that's better margins long term, whether that's, we can invest in our people at a higher level because we have savings from some efficiencies in other places that will help us adapt more smoothly than what the rest of the industry that doesn't look ahead, if you will, in the same way we do. Um, they're going to have to pivot pretty quickly,
Mm.
or maybe accept a place or a role in the industry that's not optimal for them. So maybe that looks like less upside growth. Maybe that looks like less geographic, whatever that looks like. Hopefully, we're better prepared and better suited to tackle those challenges than someone that's not. Not saying that are they right and we're wrong, or we're right and they're wrong. I don't know. I think it's just a different approach. So
Sure.
we're trying to get out in front of it as best we can.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I know that you are headed to Shadow Summit later this year. If you're watching this and you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, Shadow Summit. This will be the seventh annual Shadow Summit. It's our own conference. We call it a summit because that's what it is. It's not a conference where we're going to gain continuing education units. It is a place for a small number, 200 tickets max, for a small number of people to get together, the best thinkers, the best innovators in the built environment, to talk about, and we like to think, set an agenda
Mhm.
for what's going to happen, what's going to be invested in, what's going to be innovated for the built environment through the rest of the year, looking at 24, looking at 25. So Brad, I know you're going to be at Shadow Summit. What do you hope to find there? What do you hope that some of the discussions will center around when we all get to Atlanta in October?
Selfishly, industrialized construction, or an aspect
Mhm.
of industrialized construction. Um, I just think the advances in technology, continuing to update ourselves, because what the bar was in 2022 looks completely different than what the bar is just a year later in 2023. If you look at just advancements with AI and Chat GPT, again, overnight success that was 20 years in the making, right? But
Yep.
it was released and we saw that. So I think just networking and talking with like-minded individuals that are trying to solve the same problem, but maybe through a different lens, but the same problem. Just thought sharing. Having updates from those that focus on this every single day in terms of the technology aspect. Also, I found it extremely helpful hearing from the companies that are launching. What do they need and how do they see the world? Because
Mm.
this is kind of central to all that we do, Jeff, is whether we're purchasing a business or whether we're trying to partner in technology, is if I understand the problems you're trying to solve and I share with you the problems that I'm trying to solve and or the obstacles that I have to try to help address your problems, if you understand where I'm coming from, we're going to get to that end point much faster because we're all cards are on the table. So if I understand from their perspective the limitations that they have as a startup, and they understand the problems I'm trying to solve or what I'm trying to achieve, I think hearing those things, we can address the market at a much faster pace, as opposed to we're simply funding somebody and they're often doing it on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I brought this book up sometime in one of these conversations in the last several days. I find myself bringing it up more than more. It was one of my favorite reads of 2022. It's called Where Do Good Ideas Come From? The
Hmm.
Natural History of Innovation, I think is the subtitle. Stephen Johnson, I believe, is the author, but he talks about near adjacencies, and he talks about it. He explains essentially what you just described, and you said something earlier where we see these things that we see. Oh, look at that huge innovation, this groundbreaking things, and we can look at it as an overnight success, 20 years in the making, but as he describes it in the book, he says, most of these big innovations, these groundbreaking things that we see, are just small iterations from a near adjacency. It's something that's been happening and just made a leap over to somewhere else. And what you just described about the summit and the reason that you need to have the conversations that you have, I think fits
Yeah,
exactly into that scenario.
I appreciate that. I'm going to read that or listen to it. I don't read it. I'll listen to
I am with you. I burn Audible credits like they're
it.
like they're kindling, man. I keep upping my plan and then keep buying more, but I listen to them as well. Where do good ideas come from? Um, Brad, this has been a fascinating conversation. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all these thoughts and your outlook with us. And I'm looking forward to getting together with you before then, but in Atlanta for Shadow Summit. I'll be up in Ball State, or I'll be up at Ball State in Muncie in a couple of weeks. I'll just bump up
Yeah, come on
to
up. Love
Fort
to
Wayne
have
when
you.
I'm up there. Yeah, absolutely. If you're watching this right now or listening to this, and you want to know more about Shadow Summit, then go to shadowsummit.com. It's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen right now. And Brad, if they want to know more about what you're working on, they want to know more about Rival, and they want to know more about Ambassador, where should they go?
Best place is our website, rival.re, as in real estate, rival.re, and ambassadorsupply.com. The other affiliate is Via Developments, so viadevelopments.com. So those are the kind of the three, but Rival can take you to both of those. It shows a lot of our investments through Shadow as well as independently. And reach out to me. As always, my contact info is on the website. I love to talk to like-minded people.
Right on. Love it. So the URL for Rival is in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen right now, rival.re. Go check it out, connect with Brad, and join us in Atlanta, October 24th through 26th for Shadow Summit. Go to shadowsummit.com and there's a button. Like I said, this is a purposefully intimate affair, only 200 seats in the auditorium. And it really is meant to be a summit. It's a place where we talk about issues and try to find solutions and set an agenda as we move forward. So there's a button to apply at the top of the page at shadowsummit.com. Join Brad there, join me. You heard from KP Reddy earlier this week. We'll all be there and we'll be having discussions just like this one that Brad and I have been having for the last almost 20 minutes now. We're getting to the into the realm of shadow medium instead of shadow short at this point. But we'll go deeper. We go deep into the weeds on conversations just like this. So join us. Go to shadowsummit.com for more info, and we'll see you down there in Atlanta. This is Brad Crawford, is the CEO of both Ambassador Supply and Rival Holdings. And Brad, thanks a lot for joining me. I appreciate it. It's been a fun conversation.
Likewise. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Absolutely. Thanks. And for all of you out there, I'll be back again tomorrow with another Shadow Short. We'll see you then.